Hey everybody, welcome back to Life Outside the Studio, and in this episode we're going to talk insulation.
Step in front of a runaway train, just to feel alive again. It's so far, so far away. It's so far away.
What's up everybody? So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this headliner here above me and we're going to prep it so that we can put in some R3 level insulation. It's also going to help out with some sound deadening. Now before you can take out the headliner, there's a couple things that you have to do that I've kind of already done. One of them is to take out these B pillars. These are called the B pillars. You have to take out the seats obviously as well, and then you have to take out the A pillar. So I've already taken out the A pillar on this side, and I've taken out the sun visor. And so what you'll see right now is me kind of doing the rest, and then hopefully taking out this headliner without any issue. So let's see what happens. Okay, so here on the A pillar, there's actually no screws. You just use your tool and get it behind the top right here, and then you just pop it and it comes right out. And then up on the headliner, there's actually 4 screws. So there's 2 over here on the side, and then there's 2 underneath here that is holding in the sun visor. Now this piece here in the corner that holds in the sun visor, this is kind of the pendulum. When you pull it out, you got to kind of swing it down and out when you pull it out so that this hook gets out, because there's a little hook in here that sits just over the top. Okay, so as you take the headliner down, and remember I have a 2012, it's not very fancy, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but there's a clip right here that goes onto the light on the back of it that's kind of suspending from this right now. So I'm going to set this down real quick, take this clip off, and then that way I can separate the headliner and set it here in the back of the van. Yes, I'm in a different outfit. It's because it's a different day, not because I change clothes that often. So we took down the A and B pillar, and we took down the headliner the other day, and we're getting ready to put up some spray, some adhesive spray, and some insulation. Before I do that, what I've decided is that I'm going to go ahead and put in my wool, which is actually this Rockwool that I bought right here, which is made from rock minerals. And I'm going to use it to fill in the cavities that we have right here. So all these cavities in here, all this extra space, I'm going to take this Rockwool and I'm going to fill it in. Let's get started. Cue the time-lapse video. That took way longer than it was supposed to. I stopped the time lapse because you guys didn't need to see that it took me an hour and a half just to do the front cab section. But it's done. It's insulated, and so now I can move on to the next phase. Hey, so I want to demonstrate to you why I took all the time to insulate this B pillar. So listen to the sound here. Now listen to the sound over here where it's also a hollow place, but yet this is not insulated. Again, listen to the difference. Okay, another jump in time here. That's just kind of how it works with me. I have little bits of time that I can get stuff done in the van, and so I try to take advantage of it. I came in this morning and I finished putting insulation in the headliner area, and I'll show you what type of insulation that is, and then I put the headliner back in. I would have gotten all that on video, but it took hours and hours to do. So I don't think you guys need to see that. So I'll just kind of walk you through exactly what I did. So this is the insulation that I have on the roof as a base layer. This is ducting insulation, and it's semi-adhesive on one side, and then it's got tinfoil on the other side to reflect the heat. I put some of this 3M high strength 90 spray down, both on the ceiling up here in the headliner. It's on the metal up in the headliner, and then down here on the floor to hold it into place. And this is really for sound insulation and for heat and thermal energy insulation. And then up here, up top, what I did is kind of a second thing, is I took my Rockwool and I stuffed the entire inside of the headliner. See if you can see that. There we go. So this is the insulation that I used on the roof. It's this duct insulation, this Frost King duct insulation. It has an R value of 3, and that was my base layer before I put the Rockwool in. And then around the edges, and of course in the middle where it overlapped, I got some duct tape. And make sure you spin for nicer duct tape. And that's what I did to make sure that those seams stayed good, and then also wrapped around the side, so there was really no exposed metal for potential for moisture to build up because of the temperature fluctuations. I installed the ducting insulation on the floors, and there's a second layer to the insulation. And I took 3M Thinsulate, and I 3M sprayed it to the back of the floors. And so that's the top of the floor, what the top of the floor looks like. Here's the back of the floor. So this will sit against the insulation that I already put in, so I'll have 2 layers of insulation on the floor. All right, so I kept all the tie downs in a bag off to the side, and these smaller ones are actually the harder ones because they have kind of like an inch lift. The other ones don't. The other ones just have bolts. So I would recommend, if you're going to do something similar to this, that you put the smaller ones in first and then work your way to the outside. All right, so that's it. It's in. You can see that my insulation is the ducting insulation that we put down first, which has the foil backing, and then some 3M Thinsulate, as well as the original floor, putting back in, being held by the bolts and the tie downs. So it's been a long Sunday already. I started working at about 7 this morning. It's almost 3. This is a very time-consuming, monotonous process, but one thing down, check it off, move on to the next. Hey everybody, good morning from the van. So I got up early today to use some of the warmer weather while we still have it to try to replace my stereo here in the van. So let's get started. Alright, so I pulled the faceplate off, and then this kind of insert den, it's called a den, you just got to pull real hard to pull that out. So there's 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4. You take those screws out, and then this whole unit comes out with it. Alright, so the radio is out. That's pretty easy once you take the screws out. There are 2 pieces in the back that you have to watch out for. There's the main connector right here, the main hub that you got to take out, and then the antenna. So this one, you just got to kind of give it a good pull and it'll come out. And then you've got your radio face out. So this is the unit that I'm going to be putting into the van. This Sony head unit has a built-in amplifier, which I was pretty excited about, and it also comes Sirius XM ready, and you can do Apple Carplay on it. So this is a pretty nice setup. And then in order to make this talk to the OEM system, we have this adapter that we got from Crutchfield that we're going to be using. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take all of the ends of this and I'm going to pre-attach them to the unit, so we go out there it's a little bit less difficult. Alright, so let me tell you the current state of things. This is what my dash currently looks like. Very professional. I just finished taking apart that door. I hadn't done it before, and so I wanted to make sure before I started recording anything on video. So what I'm going to do now is take this puppy off, change out this speaker, and I will record this, and let's see if I learn from the last one. Alright, so when we're taking the door off, there's little covers right here, and these are easy to get off if you get a really small screwdriver. And this is what I have right here. I mean, it is a tiny, tiny screwdriver, and you got to push from the top because that's kind of where it's pinching in at, and then those will pop out. You also got to pop out this piece right here that's on top where the lock is at, and then there's 6 screws. There's 4 in the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's 2 under here, so you have to take this off. Just use your trim tool, take this off, and then there's 1 bigger hex nut right there, and then there's 1 bigger T-nut back there. So those are your screws, and now we're just gonna pop this off and see if it comes off. Okay, so once you get the door off, this yellow piece right here, it sits in this groove. I already popped it out, but you're just gonna pop it out. So it sits back here in this groove, but you're just gonna pop it out, and see now it's kind of free floating. And then this little yellow piece on top right here, you're just going to pop that off like that, and then this piece comes out, and now it's free, and now you can take off the door panel. Well, the sun's going down here pretty quick, so I'm going to try to get this done, but I wanted to show you, this is what I did to the doors. I just put Rockwool inside to fill in this cavity, because the cavity goes from the bottom all the way up to the top, so that's a lot of empty space, and then especially right here behind the speaker to try to put some sound insulation in there and make it sound better. Well, it's late, but I did it. It's hooked up. There's my my new CDs. I'm gonna put that in tomorrow. Speakers are in, insulation's in, door panels are back in. Thank God. On to the next thing.